What if I told you the engine of the world's economy is seizing up? For 30 years, China's unstoppable growth was more than just a headline. It was a law of economic physics. But what happens when that law is broken? Welcome to Macro Central, where we connect the dots of the global economy. Right now, two foundational pillars of China's miracle are crumbling simultaneously, and the fallout threatens to bring the whole structure down. Firstly, with a mountain of debt so vast it defies imagination. A self-inflicted crisis born from building cities for people who aren't coming, leaving a landscape of ghost towers and shattered middle-class dreams. Secondly, a demographic cliff so steep it's unprecedented in modern history. The country is getting old before it ever got truly rich. A workforce that is shrinking by millions every year. A generation of youth facing crushing unemployment, and a population in freefall. This isn't just a China problem, this is a global problem. And today, we're going deep. We'll explore the anatomy of the world's biggest property bubble, we'll meet the ghost of the one-child policy, and we'll ask the ultimate question: can Xi Jinping fix this before it's too late? This is the story of the two bombs that are tearing China apart. Let's kick off with Chapter 1, the debt bomb, anatomy of a collapse. To understand the debt, you have to understand the dream. For the average Chinese family, property wasn't just a home, it was the only reliable path to wealth. After the 2008 financial crisis, while the West was deleveraging, China did the opposite. It unleashed a tidal wave of credit, a stimulus package of historic proportions. Local governments were incentivized to build, and they did. Highways, airports, bullet trains, and apartments, millions of them. Property values soared. It created a powerful belief: real estate only ever goes up. This fueled a speculative frenzy. People weren't just buying one apartment to live in, they were buying second and third homes as an investment, often before a single brick was laid. Developers, seeing this insatiable demand, borrowed recklessly to grab more land and build even faster. It was a self-perpetuating cycle, a bubble of epic proportions. But every bubble has a pin. Enter Evergrande. At its peak, it was the world's most indebted property developer. Its business model was simple: borrow huge sums, sell apartments before they were built, and use that cash to start the next project. The problem? It only works if the music never stops. In 2020, Beijing got nervous. It saw the systemic risk and introduced the 3 red lines policy, a set of strict debt limits for developers. For Evergrande, this was a death sentence. The easy credit dried up. Construction on its 1.5 million unfinished homes ground to a halt. Suddenly, the company that once symbolized China's rise was facing over $300 billion in liabilities. After years of struggling, a Hong Kong court ordered its liquidation in early 2024. But Evergrande wasn't the only one. Country Garden, once considered a model developer, is now on the brink, facing a similar fate. The human cost is immense. An estimated 20 million homes were pre-sold but remain unfinished. That's millions of families whose life savings have simply vanished into these concrete skeletons. But the visible debt of developers is only half the story. The really scary part is the debt you can't see. Meet the LGFV shadow banks, which is short for the Local Government Financing Vehicle. Imagine your city's mayor wants to build a new stadium, but they're legally barred from borrowing more money. So they create a separate company that looks private. Let's call it the Stadium Fund Club. This club borrows billions from banks and investors. The city uses that money to build the stadium. But if the club can't pay its debts, well, everyone knows the city and its taxpayers are secretly on the hook. Now, multiply that by thousands of cities and towns across China. This shadow banking system holds an estimated $7 to $11 trillion in hidden debt. It's a black hole at the heart of China's financial system. Leading us to Chapter 2, the demographic cliff, a ghost of the future. If the debt bomb is an explosion, the demographic crisis is a slow, creeping poison. For 36 years, the one-child policy brutally reshaped Chinese society. It was brutally effective at curbing population growth, but its ghost now haunts the nation's future. It created what's known as the 4-2-1 family structure, one child responsible for supporting 2 parents and 4 grandparents. Even after the policy was scrapped in 2016, the trend couldn't be reversed. In 2023, China's population fell for the second year in a row, losing over 2 million people. Its fertility rate is now just 1.0 births per woman, far below the 2.1 needed to maintain a stable population, and one of the lowest on Earth. The population is projected to shrink by over 100 million people by 2050. So we have to ask, is China the new Japan? We've seen this movie before. In the 1990s, Japan's property bubble burst, leading to decades of economic stagnation known as the lost decades. A key ingredient? A rapidly aging and shrinking population. China's trajectory looks eerily similar, but with a terrifying difference. Japan was already a wealthy, developed nation when its crisis hit. China is getting old before it got rich. This economic pressure has created a crisis of spirit among China's youth. Officially, the urban youth unemployment rate for ages 16 to 24 hovers around 15%, after the government changed how it calculates the data. Unofficial estimates from economists suggest the real number could be much higher. This has led to cultural movements of quiet desperation. You have Tangping, or lying flat, opting out of the rat race, and Bela, which translates to let it rot, a more cynical form of giving up. So why work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week in a 996 work culture if you can't afford an apartment, can't find a good job, and see no path to a better future? This isn't just an economic statistic, it's a social crisis. Chapter 3. The Doom Loop. Here's where it gets truly dangerous. These two crises aren't happening in isolation. They are locked in a death spiral, a doom loop where each problem makes the other one infinitely worse. Step 1. The demographic cliff means fewer young people forming families. Step 2. Fewer families means less demand for new apartments. Step 3. Less demand crashes the property market, bankrupting developers. Step 4. The property crash wipes out household savings, killing consumer confidence. People stop spending. Step 5. A weak economy means fewer jobs and lower wages for young people. Step 6. Job insecurity and financial pressure mean young people delay marriage and have even fewer babies. Which brings us back to step 1. This is the ultimate trap. To fix the debt, you need economic growth. But to get growth, you need confident consumers and a growing workforce. The very things China no longer has. It's a crisis of confidence, and confidence is the one thing a government can't print. Chapter 4. The Global Contagion. So, why does a crisis in Zhengzhou matter to you in Ohio or Berlin? Because we are all connected. For decades, the world bet on the Chinese consumer. German car makers like Volkswagen and BMW sell more cars in China than anywhere else. French luxury brands like LVMH depend on Chinese shoppers, and Australian mining companies exist to feed China's construction appetite. When the Chinese stop buying, the shockwave is felt everywhere. The IMF has warned that a sharp slowdown in China could shave nearly a full percentage point off global GDP growth. Remember the Belt and Road Initiative? China's ambitious plan to fund trillions in infrastructure across Asia, Africa, and Europe. With a budget crisis at home, where will the money for these projects come from? Many developing nations that bet their future on Chinese loans are now facing a very uncertain reality. Is your portfolio at risk? Finally, it hits your wallet. Many global pension funds and investment portfolios have exposure to Chinese markets. A prolonged downturn in China will drag down global stock indices, and the disruption to supply chains from iPhones to pharmaceuticals could mean more inflation and uncertainty for years to come. Conclusion: can Beijing stop the bleeding? This brings us to the ultimate question. Can the Chinese Communist Party, with its immense centralized power, steer the country out of this nosedive? The bull case is that the CCP has total control. It can force state-owned banks to absorb losses and can command state companies to buy up empty apartments to prop up the market. But these are just short-term fixes that kick the can down the road, potentially creating an even bigger zombie economy. The bear case is that this is a crisis of confidence that no authoritarian decree can solve. The social contract in China was simple: we'll trade political freedom for economic prosperity. But when that prosperity vanishes, what's left? The era of China's miracle growth is definitively over. The world is now watching to see if it's replaced by soft landing, a Japanese-style lost decade, or something much, much worse. The decisions made in Beijing in the coming months will define the global economy for the next generation. What do you think is the most likely outcome for China? A managed slowdown or a full-blown crisis? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for joining us on Macro Central. If you want to keep connecting the dots on the biggest economic stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next one. Remember, when it comes to your money and your economy, knowledge is power.